playoff seeding kind of died on the vine. That one didn't
Yeah.
really seem to be much of anything.
It's not dead though.
It's
It's
not dead.
definitely not dead.
Okay. What's the rub with it? Why in your mind didn't it pass, and where do you think it's going?
This is the beginning, not the end of the conversation, is the way that
Right.
I would say it. And I think, Kevin Demoff, the president of the Rams, stood up in the meeting and this to me, like this was the most succinct way to put it. Kevin said to the room, we need to decide what we're talking about here. Are we talking about making the end of the season more competitive, or are we talking about being fair?
Right.
And I think that's really what it comes down to. That the teams, the league have to decide what this is about. Is it about making the games at the end of the year more competitive for fans and those pieces of real estate more sellable for them to their broadcast partners? Or is it about doing the most fair, equitable thing? And if it is about making the end of the season more competitive and more compelling and more sellable, then how do you make that as equitable as you possibly can? And in the room, when they were discussing this, they started talking about some awfully big picture stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we change the scheduling formula? Do we need divisions? Now, again, I don't know that any of that's going to come to pass, but the reality is, them doing it the way they're doing it now, I think it's totally unfair to do open seating. That's just my opinion on it. I think the scheduling formula, and I think the scheduling formula is fine, but the reality is football, you don't play as many games as a basketball team or a baseball team. You're not playing everybody. And the way the schedule sets up now, you're only playing 14 other teams, right?
Right.
Because you got the 3 teams that you're playing twice. You're only playing 10 teams in your conference. That means there are 6 teams in your conference that you do not play, and there are 12 teams in the other conference that you do not play. And so the way I look at this, it's unless you can solve for that, I would not be in favor of changing it. And we talked about it earlier in the week, right? So the NFC East is playing the NFC North and the AFC West. The NFC West is playing the 2 South divisions. So you could argue the Eagles winning 11 games might be more impressive this year than the Niners winning 13. Yeah. And I think it's a fair argument to make. And I think that's why, to me, as far as seeding goes, judging teams versus the teams that are competing in the same environment as them first is the fairest way to do it. And again, so if you're going to have this, if you are going to go to open seeding, or you do want to do this to make the games more compelling, I think you have to look at some of the bigger picture stuff, like the scheduling formula and the format of the divisions.
At this point, isn't it though?
What do you think? I was on radio this morning with Brady Quinn. Let's say they go to 18 games. He had this idea, why don't you just play every team in your conference once, and then if you go to 18 games, you play 3 non-conference games.
I mean, I'll believe in it. I'll believe anything Brady Quinn says. You ever have that guy just look at you? He's like the best looking human being on the planet.
Let's not give Brady too much credit here, but
I mean, I grew up in Notre Dame fan. I actually have. It's not.
Brady would have been the cute quarterback during your formative years too, right?
I have a.
Or were you at Cirque? No, were you high school, college for that?
I was in high school for Brady Quinn, and through a friend of a friend of a friend, we had sent my Brady Quinn jersey out to it was one person gave it to another who kind of knew him, who kind of knew him, who kind of knew him, who kind of knew him. And I think it made it all the way out there, and then it got back. And somewhere along the way in this game of telephone, someone had told him my name was Matt. And so I have a Brady Quinn jersey autographed to Matt, go Irish. And nice. It's still hanging in my my childhood bedroom.
Brady's a great guy. He's a friend of the program. He's come in and done some draft stuff with me over the years here and everything else. And he, but I don't think that the idea is a bad one.
I think it's now it sucks to abandon.
It sucks to pull down the division rivalries. So the divisional rivalries don't exist the same way anymore. Right. But would that be the fairest way to do it? As far as
it would be the fairest way to do it. But I think the problem right now is that. There's only, I guess 2. there's only two divisions that are not hard to win, right? There's there's the NFC South, which the Buccaneers are probably going to win for the 30th year in a row this year. And then
Just to spite you.
what's that?
Just to spite you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a huge Buccaneers fan. And then there's also the oh my goodness, why can't I think of the Texans division? The help me out here, Albert. What's going on with my brain fart? The Texans play in the
AFC South.
AFC South. My God. But even then, the Jaguars are getting better. That division you could see turn into a barn burner at some point, especially if the Colts get a quarterback. And so I don't know. I don't see it as broken. Basically, you're saying 1.5 teams are getting a free pass, which sucks, but at the same time, that team gets waxed out of the playoffs anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Do you think week 18 is that big a problem? I don't.
No.
I don't. I think it's fine.
You need to build in for good teams who make it that far. You need to build in rest time because of the extended schedule. And
but you know what scares them is the Rams. Is what the Rams did last year. The Rams were playing for something in week 18. Like they could have been the 3 seed, the 4 seed. And if you remember at the time, a lot of the argument, I think I made the argument, you want to avoid the Vikings, right? The Rams said the hell with that. They said it's more valuable that we get our rest. It's more valuable that we have our guys ready to go. And it worked. The Vikings had a war with the Lions in week 18. The Rams basically took week 18 off.
Right.
The Rams looked like they were shot out of a cannon in the wild card round and beat the crap out of the Vikings.
Yeah.
And I think that happening, that that example being out there now, probably scares the bejesus out of the league. Because it's like they know the issues the NBA has had with load management and all that stuff that the NBA has dealt with if I buy a ticket for a game in February, do I know that this guy's going to play? You know what I mean? Or is this going to be his night off? I think they see some of the stuff that's happened with the NBA, and I'm sure it scares them. And if it's an issue now, if the idea of managing players and not playing players in big spots is an issue now, it would obviously be a bigger problem when they go to 18 games.
Right. I think part of that is contract incentives, and you try to work that in as a bonus to try to play at the end of the year. And there's probably all these other things that you could do on the administrative level to curb a lot of that. I'll also say for fans, if you show up and your favorite player doesn't play, this happened to me in a big spot on my bachelor party. I went to go see the Montreal Impact in Montreal because they had Didier Drogba, and I got to the stadium. I was all excited and fired up, and then came to find that Didier Drogba just didn't play home games because they played on turf, like a shitty turf field. Oh. So he's just sitting there, He
didn't play home games?
No. So funny.
How do you think the front office felt about that?
It's just like, well, one of the most ultimate striker in FIFA. And you know what I did about it? I drank 11 Heinekens, and that.
You went to Montreal for your bachelor party?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I got a lot of respect for that. Montreal was where we went when we were 18, 19, because it was close enough. Growing up in Boston, it was 5 hours probably up there. Anything goes in Montreal. It's a great city.
It really was a.
And then in college for me, I went to the low rent version of Montreal a lot, which was Windsor. I don't know if you know much about Windsor, Canada.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Lots of things happen in Windsor. Windsor is Windsor. I would say Windsor is Canada's answer to Atlantic City.
Yeah, my bachelor party was a time of real time of culture and enlightenment and learning things about a different country and how it all works.
You'll learn a lot of things about your friends in a bachelor party too.
You sure do.